Good morning, children. Today, I'll be giving the question answers of lesson number 3, and with that, I will be starting the lesson number 4 because both are interrelated to each other. So, first, I will begin with the question answers of lesson 3, and then I will start with lesson number 4 as it's a continuation of MS Access. So, first, review of lesson number 3. A database is a collection of data that is organized for easy access. That is the reason at the back end we should be storing data. So for that we require a data. MS Access is the most popular RDBMS of Office package. So MS Office, in that we have MS Access, which is being inbuilt with the whole package so that we can access the database. A table is the main database component that consists of rows and columns in which data is stored in the tabular form. So like Excel sheets are used to store data from the front end. Same way, we have a table in MS Access at the back end to store whatever information we have filled in the front end. A row is called a tuple record and a column is called an attribute. So for one particular, like I had given you an example, an employee's one whole record I'll be selecting at one tuple means with the employee ID of that employee, I can get the whole information so that it will be in a table. If you consist, then it will be a single row having the information of top to bottom of that particular employee. Access offers two ways to create database, that is using templates and using blank database. Blank means a fresh one to start, and template means already it is present and you are editing it. Templates are predefined database objects of Access, which makes database creation easy and are the easiest way to create a table. So with that, we can create a table because of it. Queries are the questions asked to the database to get the selected data depending upon the given criteria. As the user wants the criteria to be fulfilled, so the queries have to be written in such a way so that we get the correct output, or you can say the desired output required for the end user. Forms are the interface designed to simplify the data entry process for the users. Like whenever you are creating an account and all, it requires some specific information. At that time, when you are filling the form to write many things in it, so that thing goes into the database of MS Access and it being stored and these things are done basically through forms and are presented using reports. So forms are the front end where you take the data from the user, and reports are at the back end where the queries are being written to fetch the data which is being entered and produce a particular report, which is called as a well-designed layout, the way you want. So this was regarding the chapter number 3. Now let's move to the question answers. So first is fill in the blanks. RDBMS stands for dash system. It stands for database management system. Second one, what is the extension of MS Access? So MS Access file will have the extension .ACCDB. DB means short form of database and ACC is for access. The main component of MS Access database is table, because in table we are going to store the information. The columns in a table are also called as attributes. MS Access offers dash ways to create database. Just now in the review we saw 2 ways. Dash are the screens designed to simplify data entry process, that is forms. Then dash are basically questions which the user asks to the database for certain output. So those are queries. Access consists of predefined dash to create database. Predefined templates are present to create a database or to modify a database in short. Now let's move to the true and false. Data can only be in the form of text. False. It can be in numbers, hyphen, and so many things we can do. It can be a form of image also. A row is also known as an attribute. in a database? No, row is not an attribute. A row is a tuple, and it is not known as an attribute. Attribute is a fields. A database reduces data redundancy. Correct. That's why we take the input in the simplified manner, so it reduces duplication. An entity is a real-time object which can be distinctly identified. Absolutely true, because without that, you cannot create. A table in MS Access is a group of databases. Correct. So all the tables combine to make a proper database. Each tuple is a record of the complete information of an entity. Correct. It will enhance, or it will give you a brief idea joining or merging different tables to get the desired output. A report prints the summarized data. True. That's why reports are made. Templates are predefined database objects of Access which are used to create tables. Absolutely true. Now it is give two examples of the following. First one is parts of Access window. It has got a title bar and it has also got a status bar. Ways to create database. It is first way is creating a database using templates, which is already present, and creating a blank database means starting from zero onwards. Templates of database, which are already present, like assets, student, faculty. These are the predefined templates which are present in 7, and in higher version you will get many more. Essentials of a database. Main is entity and table. Without that, database won't work. Now, the second thing is define the following. So first one is quick access toolbar. It is located at the top left corner of the window. By default, it contains 3 buttons, that is save, undo, and repeat. More buttons can be added to this toolbar. Quick access, that's why it is labeled as quick access, which you require every now and then. So those are save, undo, and redo. Undo means go back to the previous one, redo means do that thing again. Next definition, tuple. What is a tuple? It's a record of a complete information of an entity like the name, age, address, and the marks of a student will show the complete information about a student. So that is called as a tuple. The main thing, that is workspace. This is a place where we actually create a table and carry out other database tasks. So other tables, and queries, and reports, anything like that. Then comes the templates. So what are templates? Are the predefined database objects of Access. And it is the easiest way to create a table. And the next one, MS Access. Yes, it's the most popular and powerful RDBMS, that is a relational database management system with the Office package. It has a graphical user interface, GUI, which organizes and manipulates a large volume of data effectively. That's why it is usually used. Now we have come to the last part of the question answers. Write the few features of MS Access. So some of the important features are: Access provides the facility to break large information into smaller parts called tables, and linking that information by a common field that exists in all the tables. So there is some relation between those tables created. It increases the efficiency, speed, and flexibility in searching and accessing information. Data redundancy, that is called duplication of data, is reduced, and thereby it reduces data inconsistency. Different users can access same data and get related to their requirements. So whatever are the requirements of that, they can just remove it from it. Queries help to get the information from the database depending upon the user's criteria. That's why queries are written. Report allows to present data in a meaningful and summarized manner. That's obvious. It also provides data security It maintains integrity and also makes it more consistent and reliable. So this is regarding MS Access. Now the next one. What is a database? A database is a collection of organized data for easy access, retrieval, and management of its content. Data can be in any format like text, number, image, audio, video, etc. So any kind of text we are going to store it in MS Access, but there are ways to define it. In our day-to-day life, we come across many large collections of data like telephony, directory, yellow pages, etc., which are an integral part of us and are good examples, but nowadays we hardly use. So this is regarding a database. Now we will move to the continuation of this chapter, lesson number 4, Access 2007. In that, the first topic which comes, now we have already learned about tables, attributes, fields. Now in detail, we are going to study what we can do in tables, what is actually a record, what is actually a tuple, and so on. So the first thing which comes in this is the field name. So field name is the name of attribute which will later allow you to enter data values under it. While naming any field, following must be kept in mind. It can include any combination of letters. So field name should have combination of letters, numbers, spaces, and special characters, except period. So you cannot use dot, you cannot use exclamation, and you cannot use square brackets while naming the field name. So letters, numbers, spaces, and special characters, except these 3 characters, you can use other characters to define it. It cannot be more than 64 character long. So the length of the field name has to be less than or equal to 64. Beyond 64, it won't accept. It cannot start with leading space, means you cannot have space in the beginning. You can have in between, but you cannot have the name with the space. It cannot be same as a property name, reserve name. Now property name you won't understand now. The more we move further, you will understand what is property. For example, name which cannot be used it as a reserved word. Like for example, F name you can write, but you cannot use the word name because it is already being used. Date of birth, marks, English are some valid field names. So we cannot have exact because these are already labeled and defined in MS Access. So we have to just rename it in a different way so that we can use it. So this was regarding the field. The second become important topic in this is data types. So after specifying the names of the field, it is now time to specify the type of data it is going to send. Now, when I say, please enter your first name means the name of that particular child. So we have to be very specific with that. If I'm telling if it is a name, then it is being understood there should not be any numbers in it. So while specifying, I have to take it as text. So that is a data type of the field must be declared. It classifies the type of value a field can hold like text, number, date, etc. So we have got a huge list like this which we are going to use. So what are the different types of data? Now it is very, very important, otherwise you won't be able to design a table. Auto number. This type of field stores an integer value and increases automatically whenever a new record is added. It is used for the fields which require integer value like roll number of a student or employee number in an organization. So auto number means it is generated by the system automatically and it increases as on when required. But if you want the auto number to be the way it has to be designed, then you have to specify the first auto number to the system and then write a looping structure so that automatically a next entry will go with that next incremental value. So auto number gets the number designed for you, or else it can modify for you the way you want, but it depends on the way you write a program. Text. This type is used for accepting text values like characters, numbers, and combinations of both with a maximum of 255 characters. Now, when I say 255 characters, a space is also one of the characters. So you have to be very specific when you write a text. Spaces are also included in it. So don't think my characters were 255, but it didn't accept it because space is also one of it. So you have to include that also. For example, name of a student, name of an employee, etc. can be a part of text. Next data type is the number. This type of field stores numeric values. So it records the numeric values. For example, number. It stores numeric values which can be like marks obtained, sales figure, etc. So these type of things come under these. Currency. This type of field is used to store values in a monetary format, which can be used in financial data requirements like a fee of a student, salary of an employee, etc. So currency, like different states have different currencies. So you can use dollar, rupee and all different symbols to calculate so that it becomes easy for the end user to see in Indian currency the amount is this much, in US dollars the amount is this much. Date and time. So this is the next type of data type. This type of field can store dates and time, maximum in 8 bytes, like date of birth, date of joining, etc. Why 8 bits? Because it is MMDD, YY, MMDD. So different formats are there, and it can be any of it. So the length of that specified date and time is 8 bits, 8 bytes. Sorry. Memo. Memo is the type which is much larger version and which contains long blocks of text up to 65,535 characters. It is used to store description of an item or a resume of a person, etc. Like any brief information about a product, about an item, about an employee, in general, if you want to store, to keep a record, like a bank takes many details of an employee before opening an account. So it can be a PAN card, Aadhaar card, his biodata, where he lives, his electricity bill, and so many things. So all those details you can just combine in a file and you can just upload it over here so that it can take up to these many characters and can store it. Like you have to first make a form, enter the data separately, and then it can go into this so that the desired report you can get it in a very sorted out. It will take a bit long time, but I think it will be very much useful if you take it in a sorted manner. And that type of field will be memo. So initially it will be a text field, and when you combine different text fields, it will go with a memo. So this is regarding the different types. Now, few more we have to study. So let's move to the next page. Yes, no. This data type is assigned to the fields where only values, or you can say when only two values such as true or false are required. Like for example, are you married or not? Availing school conveyance or not? Where I want to only say yes or no. Male, yes. Female, no. Like that kind of question. So that comes under yes and no. Now the main thing, OLE objects. Now you may get confused. What are OLE objects? But it is very important from your point of view because you like to store these things. This type of database is used to store images, graphics, documents, spreadsheets, etc. created in other applications like Excel or Photoshop, like a photo of a student, employee, etc. When you take a resume nowadays, photo is already attested on the resume. So if I don't want to type all these things separately, I can simply make an Excel file or a Word file and just upload it over here as a format of OLE object. So I can get all the details of that particular employee, student, etc. So I need to use an OLE object. Now imagine I want to store images, graphics. Now suppose you are very good in photography and all, but it becomes very difficult for you to keep it in software. But you have websites where you can upload and all. So OLE objects at the back end will help you a lot to do that. lookup wizard. So it helps you to choose values from other table, query, or a list of values which you will specify and use them in your table. So regarding this, we will come later on because right now you won't understand what is lookup wizard. As and when examples will come, I'll explain. Attachment is the most familiar word because you have normally used this attachment in your mails. So attachment is also present in database. This field type is used to attach images, spreadsheet files, charts, files, and other types of documents into the records of database. It is same as we attach various files in your emails. So that is regarding attachment. The main last important thing in the data types is hyperlinks. We can store links of web pages, websites, which are on the net to the sites or the files on the computer. It will be stored as a text or as a web address. So that also you can store. Like if you have many websites and many inside pages in it, so it becomes very difficult. So at that time they specify this hyperlink to move from one page to another, and indexing of all those pages is done. So it helps them to solve their problems. After this comes creating table in a design view. So there are two views. So that is form design and table design. In designing the table, you will get a screen where you can enter the tables using this tab. You can rename it, and after renaming it, you have to specify the field names, you have to specify the data types, and if you require, you need to specify the description. Description is optional. It is up to us whether to design it or write it or not write it. Now, for example, the table design means my field name. Suppose I want to enter the student's detail. So what all things are required? I will just design a table where I will name it as student details. Then I'll write first name, middle name, last name, roll number, then caste, category, male, female, date of birth, father's name, mother's name, Aadhaar card, and all other details which are must for a register can be maintained over here. So I will design a table with that. So with that table design, I'll be specifying the field name and I'll be specifying the data type. So whatever data types we have used right now, which I have taught you just now, like auto number, text, number, currency, and all. So mostly it will be text. When it will be an Aadhaar number, it has to be text because it's a combination of a number as well as the text. So you cannot use as numeric. But when you will be writing the roll number, then you have to write it as numeric because it's a number text. So that way you will be designing. So this is a window I have shown you of 2007 where you can create a table. So just go to the create tab, take a table option and design it. And whatever data types I have taught you just now, you can use it. For example, I have already created for you. It's like a customer ID. I have done it for a small table. So customer ID is an auto number I have written because it will be generated by the system, but I will write a program for it and it will generate. First name, it has to be text, last name, text, address, and so on. I will go on adding. To this, I can even have these general lookups, whether to restrict the data or not to restrict. If you don't specify, it is going to take the by default values. But if you specify, it is going to take the value specified. Like field size for the customer ID, it has taken to 255. So that way you can look it. It depends on which, for every field name, you will get all these things. So you have to specify it. And it will differ from data type to data type. So this won't be same everywhere. Depending on the data type, it will be fixed. So if you are using text and if these are the fields for text, this will be constant whenever you will be specifying text. When you select an auto number, the rules and regulations will be different. So at that time, you have to specify. And if you don't specify, it will take the by default number. After this comes the field properties. These are very must to be learned, otherwise you won't understand why we are specifying these properties in it. So first about the text. Let the maximum size for data stored be as the text data type. Enter a value from 1 to 255. Text fields can range from 1 to 255 characters. For larger text fields, you can use the memo data file because it was 65,530. Another thing for text, you have to remember, Access does not reserve space beyond what is necessary to hold actual values. The field size property is the maximum field size. So including spaces, you have to be very specific. For the best performance, always specify the smallest sufficient field size so that the data size is also not too much and data goes in a sorted out. And if it, while specifying it only, you restrict the field size so that what happens, the user inputs the data accordingly. Next was the number. When I explained you about these, I didn't go in much detail, but now I am going in much detail so you can understand. So in the number, the first comes the byte. For integers ranging from 0 to 255, storage requirement is a single bit. So very small amount of data this is taking. Second one is integers, and the integers value it will be taking from minus 32,768 to plus 32. Beyond this, if your number is going, then you cannot use integers. You have to use long integers. Now, see, in mathematics, there is no limitation, but in computers, we have limitations with the numbers, with the float, decimal, and many more things. So you have to be very specific whilst defining it. In long integers, it is minus 2, 147, 483, 648. Here, it takes an international number system. It will not take your normal number system. So till this range, you can use long integers, and its storage, it requires is 4 bytes. If your number is beyond this, then you have to use single, that is floating values. Here, these are integer values. But if you have decimal values, so that comes under single. So floating point means, in computer language, we call it as decimal numbers. So minus 3.4 into 1038 to plus 3.4 into 1038. So such a big number. It can, again, the storage size for the single is 4 bytes. Then comes the double of the single, and then the proper decimal where you have minus 990. So it is the largest of all. Depending on the number size which you are going to enter for a specific one to the largest, you just go on concentrating on these things so that there is no heavy load on the database also, and you are very specific while you enter the data. So this is regarding the number data type. Now the first one which we had studied in data type was auto number. In auto numbers, you can have long integers where you can have unique numeric values ranging from 1 to 2, 147, 483, and such a big number. But here it will be only integers. You cannot have decimals. And the size for it is 4 bytes. So if you want the auto number in decimals and all, you cannot use auto number over here. There you have to use either single or double or decimal. So by default, auto number is an integer value, and it's a pretty good value. It will satisfy most of your requirements. But if your requirements are different, then you cannot go with the auto number. If you want decimal points and all, then you need to shift it to the other data types. Then the format of text, memo, currency, auto number, and hyperlink. So in text, we have already started. Memo is 65,535 characters. Currency will be depending on which country's currency you are doing. Automatically, it will multiply and tell you the answer. Auto number, which I have explained. Hyperlinks was to connect it to the different website pages. Now I need to explain you about the date and time. Now these are the different types of date and time. Means way of writing. It is meaning is the same, but the way of writing or presenting the data is always different. So general date, it displays the value having combination of short date and long time. By default, the time will be entered and it will take the internet time if it is online. And otherwise, if you're working offline with the database, it takes your system date and time. Then you have a combination of long date. It displays the value by using the long date setting of the regional and language options in the control panel. If you have seen by mistake, if your date and setting properties in your system is wrong, then what you do is you just open the date time settings and you set the time accordingly. So we have a by default regional and language setting option in the control panel of every computer. So if you need to change it, you have to go over there and change it accordingly. Now next date option type is medium date. It displays the value by using the format DDMMYY. So like this it will be showing 14 July 2006. So this is one of the example. This way medium date is being shown. If you want the short date, it displays the value by short date setting of the region. So that you have to see. Once you have set the value, it will always take the value in that particular format. Now, if you want it in long time, it displays the value by using the time setting of the regional options. Again, over there, you have to change it and use it. Second is medium time. It uses the format HM, MM, PM, means hour, minutes, and either AM or PM format. So our values can range from 1 to 12 and the minute value will range from 0 to 59. And then AM, PM will be as it is. Either it will be AM or it will be PM. And after that comes the short time. It displays the value using the format HMM, where H is the hour, M is the minute, and the hour can range from 0 to 20. So we follow 0 to 24-hour format, means in that 24 and 23.59, and minutes will be from 0 to 59, and that 1 will become 24 will become that 0 point. So that way is your short time defined. So this is regarding the date and time. It will take the way you have defined the date and time. By default, it will be general date. After that, we'll come to yes and no. Like I gave you example, male, female, married, unmarried. So true or false values, yes or no, on and off, that values also will be taking over here. So true is yes is equals to on, false is equals to no is equals to off. So this is regarding yes and no. After this, what I explain you, like every data type will have its general specifications. So this is one which I have taken for you. It's a field property and its description is also given. In that field size and format, we have already studied. So I have removed that. I have started from input mask. What is input mask? It sets the format for data to be entered in a field using characters and symbols. So special characters, if you want to use it, you have to specify it over here in the input mask. Then comes the decimal places. It specifies the number of decimal places for numeric data types. So depending on the type of decimal, after 3 numbers, after 4 or after 5, you have to specify it in your numeric data. Captions, you have heard this word many times, like you people have a habit of tagging, so that can be a type of caption. It specifies the string to be displayed as the column lines, like everything has got a heading, so same way is your caption. Default value. A value automatically enters in the field when a new record is created, like auto number, generated by a query, generated by a code written or inbuilt auto number. Next one is the validation rule. It specifies the restrictions on data that can be entered in a field. So how to validate, why to make it. So different kinds of things are there in this. That will be helpful when you will be doing a little bit of coding. So right now, don't focus more on the validation rule. For you, these things will study in detail later once we know little bit of programming. Validation text specifies error message to be displayed if the validation rule is violated. So suppose if you have entered any symbol like exclamation and a dot. They have already said. So at that time, what kind of error message should come? So that you can put it over here so that the user understands I am not supposed to use that. And the required, it forces to enter data in the field if the required property is set to yes. Like if you are married, then only fill this, otherwise don't fill it. If you are a child, please specify your mark, then only admission will be given. So at that time, you require it. Means if you want them to specify, you have to be very specific for that. The next thing in that is allow zero length. Allow zero length means it allows a blank entry in the field if the property is set to yes. If it is yes, okay. Then you can allow that particular is as a blank and take the other things. Text align. You have already studied in Word, left, right, and all. So that while displaying the text, you can use it. Index. Creating indexes allows access to sort records faster, like assigning primary key and all. So that you will come to know later as we go on defining the tables and all. Smart tags, it attaches smart tags like date, phone numbers, financial symbols and all. This also you will come to know once we really design a table, operate on it, fetch a query, and accordingly show an output. So at that time, these tags will be used. So today we have completed the question answers of lesson number 3 and we have started with lesson number 4. I had to do this video because if I would not have done, you would really not understand what are the different data types and all. So please study whatever is given, write all the question answers in your textbook properly with the help of pencil. Thank you. Take care. Bye.